Hey there, class. We are going to have a little color mixing party today. So we're going to work with the color wheel, which is a great exercise to get you started with really being familiar with mixing colors, which is, I think, the most fun part of painting. So I've got my paints close by. I've got my palettes ready to go, brushes. I like to work with some sort of cloth, old rag, or this kind of blue towel or another paper towel that I can wash my brushes off on. I'm gonna have some water close by too, and a ruler and a pencil for the start. So first, you guys have your canvas paper. It's got 3 circles drawn together concentrically like a target, and marked every 30 degrees or so is a little tick mark. We're gonna take a straight edge. Doesn't have to be a ruler, it could be the edge of a book, or just anything you got that's straight. And just line up the tick marks that are straight across from each other and go through the center of the color wheel. And that's gonna help us divide this thing into kind of like a pizza pie. Having these sort of triangular slices here. And with the color wheel in general, we're not worried about perfection really at all. We're just concerned with the idea of giving you the experience of experimenting with color mixing and finding fun new colors and figuring out ways that you can make them again when you want to repeat them. So it might look something like that. And then just to help you follow along, I numbered them, starting with 1 up here. So here's the top center, the one on the right, and then 2 all the way around through 12. So you can pause and catch up so that you get to this point and then continue to follow along after that. We're ready for paint at this point, and I'm going to work with some red, some yellow, and some blue, which are our primary colors. And primary colors just means that these paints, well, all acrylic paints are really like a polymer base that almost dries kind of like a glue does, mixed with pigments. Pigments are colored minerals, essentially, from the earth that are ground up into a powder and mixed with whatever sort of material that you are going to color them with. We use them in a lot of different things in art and in other places. In this case, primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, come from minerals and cannot easily be mixed from other colors. So that's why we call them the primary. Notice how much I squirted on my palette. Not a ton. I didn't fill up the entire well. You can always go back and add more because you've got plenty here for now, but you can't put it back in the tube, so keep that in mind. To start us off, I'm gonna mark a little R right here in the one triangle and in the center circle. That's where my red is gonna go. I'm gonna mark yellow in the 5 triangle in the center circle, so put a Y. And then I'm gonna mark in the 9 a B for blue. So those are where my primaries will be put. Filling out my water here. And I'm just going to take this red straight to the canvas. This nice, rich cadmium red deep hue is what we're working with today. Lovely. And then in order to use the same brush, I'm going to dip off in my water. Yes, I have ice cubes in my water. That is not necessary. Just happens to be how mine got filled up. And I can use my towel to just dab off the moisture in my brush. And I'm ready to go to my next color, pick up some yellow. Just put it right over here. Clean off my brush. I'm also noticing I might have a little bit more control with a smaller brush for this, so I may switch for a moment here for the blue and see if I feel better about it. Doesn't matter that much, just a preference. I put my blue here. Yeah, I like the smaller brush for this particular size thing here. All right, my primaries are in place. So this color wheel, why is it a thing that people do? Well, it's really just a diagram that helps us understand color relationships. Because what we're going to do next is take two of these primaries and mix them together and place them in a specific spot on the color wheel that helps us read it later, kind of like a map. So the way the color wheel is going to work is that directly between two of the primaries, so I've got red and I've got blue here, the center between the two is this 11. I'm going to put red plus blue here. So let's mix them. Take some blue, put it in a fresh well, pick up some red, put it in a fresh well, not a fresh well, put it right in with the blue, and mix them together. And I'm aiming here to get about half and half for this first one. I think that feels good. And voila, I have a form of violet here, or purple. I've always liked the purple that results from this deep hue red and the ultramarine blue. It's a nice color to me. And this here is what I'm going to call a secondary color because it is the combination of two primaries. Yeah, that's nice. Now, if I did this entire thing right in front of you, it sure takes a lot of the fun away for you. So I'm going to do this partially until you get the pattern and then have you fill in the rest. I bet you can guess what's going to go here because it's in between this pure red and this half red and half blue, right? So if this is, where'd my pencil go? If this is red and this is blue and this is red plus blue, this then becomes red plus blue. So a real simple way to make that color is to take my secondary color where I've got red and blue here, about half and half, just put a little more red in it. Nice. So it definitely changed the color in a subtle way here. I'm gonna lay that down. I don't know if you can see the difference too well with this camera light, so I'm gonna add a little bit more red and see if it's slight, but it's there. Now that's a really pleasant color. I like a maroon. Nice. So I don't even have to do this next one because you know what's coming. Red plus blue plus blue. But I'll go ahead because I'm having fun. So blue plus red, about half and half, but then more blue, right? Okay, let's lay that one down. Oh gosh, I love that. Kind of like an indigo. So now that you've got the pattern, I want you to go ahead and do the same. Fill in all of this too. Pause the video if you like, and then come back for the rest of it. I'm gonna leave mine undone for now and just move on to the next rings because I don't want to give it away. It's too fun. All right, so I'm gonna presume that you paused. You kind of caught up a little bit. In fact, you're further along than me. What we want to do with this outer ring is create what we call tints, T-I-N-T, and that's going to be these colors plus white to get a lighter value. When you work with watercolor, you just add water and it dilutes it. When you work with acrylic, you add white. So let's see what that looks like for one or two of these. Just put some white in my well here. So I've already got these mixed up. If I didn't, I would just, recreate them. But here is my blue violet. So I'm gonna add some white to the blue violet. Get a really nice kind of lilac. And lay that down in the outer ring. Wash off my brush. Pat it on my rag or twirl it off. Sort of dab that moisture. And I can do the same thing. Add some white to my red violet. And get, gosh, kind of like a, I'm not sure how to describe that, like a rosy color. It's gonna go over here. All right. So this outer ring, our tints, are always going to be what's in the center ring, plus white. That's all. Go ahead and pause. Fill out the rest of the color wheel, and then join me again for the center. Okay, I'm going to presume that you paused. And we'll take a peek at the center here. In the center, we got these teeny tiny little triangles, right? We're not going to worry about all 12 of them. We're going to break it up just into 4 quadrants. And what I want you to do in the center is experiment with making neutrals. Neutrals, think of them like, let's see here. There's a little wooden box. I would consider this a neutral. Like a brown or a tan. or gray or essentially a mixture of the primaries. So I'll create one. And you can create more. I'm going to pick up some red. I'm going to pick up some yellow. Of course, I made a secondary just now. But what if I add the primary, the other primary? I'm going to get a more muted color. Looks like it's heaviest on the red right now. Add a little more of the other two. Doling it down each and every time. It's kind of losing its vibrancy. Okay. And then just for fun, what if I add a little white? Yeah, I'd consider that a neutral. Muted, not very intense. I'm gonna put it in this quadrant here. I want you guys to experiment with just a few different kinds of neutrals, because you're gonna need those for sure in your painting. Color mixing in some ways kind of feels like cooking, where you're just putting different ingredients together. You know, some people like to follow recipes, and if you're like me, and my grandma for that matter, we like to make it up as we go. Add a little of this, add a little of that. Keep tasting it until it's just right. Kind of similar approach to working with color. So enjoy. This should be really fun. If you get finished and you want to keep playing, consider just experimenting with other options that we don't find on the wheel yet. So, like, let's say I wanted to add a little bit of yellow to this. And I get this kind of interesting, almost like seafoamy green, blue. And I might really like that, which I do. Yeah, sort of like a muted. It's not really seafoam, is it? If I add more white, might be closer. Oh, kind of like a sage. You know, just play with different colors on the outside. Get your experimenting in. That's what this is for. Yeah, I like that one too. Alrighty, enough for me. Have fun painting.